have values. And when things are going well, and also when things are not going well, it's your compass of a business, to be able to stick to that and know what you stand for. And it's okay to say no to some things, and to protect your mental health, and to protect your emotional side. Because I also realized too that like I am my business. I put a lot of emotional effort and work into it, and when I'm not feeling well, then that affects everything else. And so I had to pause and prioritize and check in with myself a lot, which is not something that I did prior to going through COVID, and even experiencing all the social justice issues that were happening. I didn't really take that time to pause until that moment, and that was kind of the time that I needed. As much as it was really challenging to be in the unknown as an entrepreneur, it was again a great space for me to recenter myself and connect to the why and the values of why I do what I do.
What's up, everybody? It's Abby here with another episode of Modern Day Unicorns. And today I have my homie, Coach Mo. I know her affectionately as, Mariam. She goes by so many different things. We met now what is called back in the day when we were working for a nonprofit organization called Playworks. So I'm going to be quiet really quick because I really want Mo to introduce herself. Mo, can you tell us, where you're from? And we'll dig a little bit deeper into what you're doing. We'll unpack it throughout this episode, but tell us where you're from and a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah. What's up, everyone? My name is Mariam Mo Abdullah. I'm originally from Atlanta, Georgia, but my roots go very deep in Sierra Leone, West Africa, which is where my family is from. So that's Atlanta, Georgia is where I grew up. But I have been hopping all over the country for the past, 10 years, living and working in different places. Abby and I go way back, doing lots of work with service and education. And so, that's a little bit about me. I'm currently in Charlotte.
Nope. We're gonna get to that.
Oh, okay.
We're gonna get to because you all over the place, all over the time. So look, I hate to cut you off, but you are so rich with information that we gotta dissect portions of your life. You see what I'm saying?
Facts.
All right, bet. So let's start from the fact that, okay, so Mo is a multi-talented individual. This joker can do anything and everything. She can sing, she can play music, she can run track, she can play basketball. She's a ball of energy at any point in time. She's the life of the party. She can get things done, and she's a brain, right? So Mo, I wanna go back to kind of like your education, right? So you did a number of different things growing up. Can you give us a little back history on what your education was, and then we'll dig deeper into the various occupations that you've held?
Yeah, so I grew up in Atlanta, and originally I went to public school. But what was occurring in public school was there was a lot of overcrowding, and I also had a learning disability. So at the ripe age of 10, my mom decided that I needed a different environment to grow. I needed some more one-on-one time, small classrooms, and I ended up going to boarding school in Georgia. So a lot of my experiences, and I think a lot of how I'm able to move and try out new things and really just have grown in myself has been because of boarding school and the environment that created for me to kind of just be able to explore and grow. So I went to boarding school for about 7 years. And during that time, that's the first time that I actually was able to do sports. Growing up in a single parent household, my mom didn't really have a lot of time to be able to take us to different things. And so that's where I tried out sports for the first time. That's where I got into music and ended up learning 5 different instruments. And that is also really where I started my first mini hustle. I learned very quickly from living away from my mom that money does not grow on trees. And although I did have this great opportunity to go to school, that if I wanted extra things, or if I wanted to, be able to have a little bit more independence, that I had to create a hustle. And so that's kind of where the love of entrepreneurship and the love of the hustle kind of started and flourished for me.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And I'm happy that you have such a positive outlook. You know, the media and movies and everything like that portray boarding school as like punishment and things like that, where parents just send you when you're out of hand and things like that. So for you to have such a great outlook on what boarding school did for you is good to hear.
Yeah, and I think it also speaks to my mom, and kind of just like all of our mindsets, because there was a lot of that. There was a lot of conversations around, don't send your kids there. That's not like, you can't watch over them. There was a lot of negative feedback that she was getting from a lot of different parents that were just kind of like, didn't know much about the boarding school experience, and also just again, a lot of like negative stereotypes around who goes to boarding school and what that experience is like. But my mom was very much like a person that like goes against the grain. And if she's passionate about something, if she sees the opportunity and she educates herself about it, then she's like, well, this is what I'm going to do. And it's okay that you don't understand, but like, this is the path that I want to go on and the path that I want my kids to go on. And she was very much like, this is what we're going to be doing. And I thank her for that, because I think that's something that we've all adopted, where again, as entrepreneurs, there's a lot of people that put a lot of that pressure, or even just a lot of negative stereotypes and their own like barriers that they've experienced onto you. And it can be very easy for you to like not go forward with different ideas or going against the grain because of all of the outside noise.
And I love that you bring that up. Definitely going against the grain, which is one of the emphasis that I have here on this podcast, is that you're allowed to do things differently. You're allowed to do things differently. You're allowed to not follow the format that people have given to you. And even in my last conversation, like, you're allowed to fail. There's lots of things that you're allowed to do and experience as a human being. And we just, err on the side of caution too much when it comes to what other people think about situations, and not many times have they actually gone through it themselves. So I'm going to fast forward a little bit for us to where maybe, I think, because you went to college before you did City Year and Playworks and things of that nature, right? Can you kind of take us through the journey of maybe what you studied in college, and then how you ended up continuing to be in that service realm?
Yeah, so I ended up going to Winthrop University, and I studied business administration with a concentration in entrepreneurship. I kind of, again, having that experience in boarding school, I realized that this was something that I could potentially really be good at. And, I kind of moved with that to college and wanted to focus more on that. And, senior year, I think there was a lot of pressure and a lot of talk around like everyone just getting that first job and getting that first really big paycheck and like getting that office job. And that was just kind of the trajectory that a lot of people were doing. But what ended up happening is that I went to go visit my sister for the summer, and she had her own business. And she ended up like having me come and intern. And it was basically like entrepreneurship boot camp that she put me through. And while I was there, I actually was like networking a little bit, and I saw these people walking around in these red jackets, like the city or jackets. And I was like, what is this? And I keep seeing like all these young people around the city. And I was like, this sounds awesome, but like, I need to learn a little bit more. So I actually, she actually took the time out of her day to actually take me to one of the schools after we researched what it was, take me to one of the schools and actually talk to one of the city or people. And then at that point, I was like, it just felt right. Like, I want to not just go straight into the workforce, just to go into the workforce, but like, I want to do something that actually, for me, has meaning behind it and service behind it, and has an opportunity for me to like do something different. And so that's really kind of how I got into City Year. So like when I graduated, instead of going into, and I also think it was a little bit of me trying to like not fully go into the adulting quite yet. You know, it was just kind of that nice easy transition. And so yeah, right after school, I ended up moving to Milwaukee, and doing a year of service with City Air, which is a national AmeriCorps nonprofit that focuses in education. So I just definitely wanted to do something. Yes, business was a passion, but you know, I'm one of those people that's, once I've been doing something for a really long time, I like to challenge myself and change and build different skill sets.
And that's wonderful. So this is where we actually merge after your city year. So city year, one of the things that I didn't know was about AmeriCorps in general. I had zero idea about it. All I heard was about the Peace Corps. So for those of you listening out there, for any younger person or anybody with that is looking for a new experience when it comes to service, that AmeriCorps offers a plethora of different opportunities that you can pretty much volunteer your time to different efforts. City Year, and we'll talk a little bit more in a moment about Playworks and how you can give back to your community. I know there's different things dealing with probably like politics and legislation and things of that nature. But it really was a great opportunity for the both of us in between that gap of life. So, you know, as we proceed into how you even heard about Playworks, like when I went to Playworks, I was trying to escape adulting too. The problem was I didn't swing straight from undergrad. I swung from grad school. I had a master's degree and doing Playworks. But let's talk about how you transitioned from completing your year with AmeriCorps and how you like found Playworks and what Playworks was able to do to you as you continue to grow into yourself.
Yeah, so you know, the whole premises around City Year is give a year, build a career, and also give a year and you know, change the world type of mentality. But the really thing is that you have a year, right? So I knew that I was going to have to move on from City Year, and what was great about that experience is that we had mentors, and I had a mentor that like I definitely hounded a lot, like what do I do? And I just need some support. And she was like, you know, I heard about this thing called Playworks. I know just from seeing your personality that this could possibly be a great fit for you. And so I ended up researching Playworks and applying. And I was still living in Milwaukee, so like I did all of my applying and all the lead up to that in Milwaukee, and ended up moving to DC to do that. But it was kind of like I knew the transition was coming, and luckily I had people, you know, in my corner that were able to kind of see my personality and also see a lot of my different strengths, and kind of been able to guide me in directions of opportunities that, you know, really fit me. So yeah, I ended up doing that and moving to Playworks. And it was a really great transition because what I realized in City Year is that like I love education, but I spent so much time on like the icebreaker and a warm up. Even I mean the lesson was cool, but like the icebreaker and warm up and getting kids excited about coming to school. I spent a lot of time building relationships out at recess that you know, I understood the power of connection and rapport through play already going into Playworks. So, you know, it was just literally a seamless and perfect transition to be able to like, again, hone in on my strengths. And yeah, just have that great opportunity.
Now I'm gonna let you do your spiel in a moment because you're more connected than I was when I was a part of it. So City Year is more academic, but you do a lot of different activities and you're able to interact with the students in various places within the school. But Playworks is specifically designed around play, right? So can you give us a little bit about, you know, what play? My elevator speech is a little bit dated when it comes down to it, but just explain to people because that's what gravitated to me towards Playworks. So Dwight, you know, Dwight, which is our former program director, my guy, when I had miraculously met him and had this conversation about what he did for a living, his opening was, I teach people how to play. And I was like, what? I teach people how to play, explain more. And so when he was going into that, I was in a point in my life where I was trying to be so serious that I forgot how much play was positive in my life. Because I think that, you know, we literally get kicked from one place to the other and nobody reintroduces play to us. Play is reintroduced, or the concept of play is reintroduced to us through substances and, you know, sometimes random behavior. But in terms of physically playing, it had not been represented or represented to me in a way that Playworks gave to me. So sorry, can you please explain a little bit about what Playworks was and how, because you went further than I did within that, but, and then we'll get to this point. But anyway, go, let me be quiet. Go ahead.
Yeah, let's put me on the spot. Okay, so let me see if I can do this justice. How I like to explain Playworks is that we are using play to help transform culture. So, you know, I think a lot of people, when they think about play, they just think about, you know, just recess, but really there's so many skills, social emotional skills, there's problem solving skills, there's so many things that come out of play that also resonates throughout the classroom and just schools in general. So really Playworks is a vehicle that uses the most crucial times of the day to create and establish culture that will hopefully resonate throughout the school. And I think, again, what's so powerful about Playworks in general is that it helps to transform culture authentically. And it does it by, again, seeing the best in everyone. You know, I think play brings out the best in everyone because it's freedom. And there's so many situations where kids are coming to school and they have so much on their shoulders. They're coming with baggage, they're coming with insecurities around food, about housing, about school, about so many different things. And recess and play is kind of that that one time in the day where they can actually just be kids and be free and feel like they can belong and feel like they're a part of something. And how can we get not only recess to be like that, but how can we get classrooms to be like that? How can we get the in-between times to get like that? And really that's what Playworks is. It's a vehicle to use recess like that, create that space, but also not stop there, create leaders and create those opportunities in the classroom and in all of the important spaces throughout the school day. Just kind of seeing the best in every kid and creating an opportunity for, you know, just everyone being able to be their authentic selves in every part of their school day.
And that was amazing. So I can say definitely Playworks played a pivotal role in who I am today. It changed my life, to be quite honest, because I was at the crossroads between finishing my master's degree. I finished my master's of business administration, went and, you know, pretty much volunteered with Playworks for the 2 years with AmeriCorps, then got the other position. But in terms, it was a point in my life where I was trying to figure out if I was going to go back to school for psychology. I just needed to know if it was going to be for adults or for children. And I went into those schools and played with those kids and, you know, played with those adults and things of that nature, and saw the power of play and how many conflicts that we can solve, and how we can come together. And they stole my heart to where I switched everything to get into education, specifically physical education, because there's so much with like that we can do with movement and activity that's so powerful, that can transcend every area and every part of the culture within a school community. And so I'm forever indebted to the time that I spent there. And so we're gonna, yeah, go, sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say, just to add on to that, just how much, yes, a lot of our work is, you know, to improve the lives of every child, but like, again, how that affects us and seeing the transformation that adults were making, right? and how there's a kid in all of us. I think that's the real impact of
Mm-hmm.
Playworks, is that it grasps at the child in all of us, and it really, again, when we think about transformation, it's not just, again, transform the kids' lives, but through that process of freedom, that we create, not only for our kids but for ourselves, that like it really helps to open gates, and also like it changes our perspective. Like I bring the Playworks mentality now into everything that I do, because I've gone through that experience, because I've seen the impact that it's had on others, but also the impact that it's had on me. And so yeah, it's unless you go through it, it's really hard. Like, you know, a person that has done Playworks because of the way that they move.
Pretty
You know,
much.
it's yeah, it's a very different. Yeah, I would just say it's, once you go through it, you kind of see, you just look at situations differently as well. Yeah.
Yes, the perspective on everything has definitely changed, and I agree. I agree with you. I agree. So, okay, that was our quick spiel for Playworks. Shout out to you all. Shout out to Jill, and everybody at Playworks. Everybody that, shout out to Dwight, to Kanya, all of y'all. But now let's get into present day Mo. Let's get into to what you're doing now. This lady, first of all, y'all heard how she can hop states. She's fearless. She will pack up and move across the country with no qualms about anything, understanding that everything has to work out. So you are probably one of the bravest people that I know. And even now, the things that you're doing continue to amaze me. I've always told Mo, whatever you're doing, please save a position for me. I definitely just want to work for you, because I know that you're gonna have something going on, and right now you definitely have something going on. Can you break down what Mo was doing in 2021?
2021, we are a CEO, founder of Culture Energized. So I created an interactive diversity, equity, and inclusion training and consulting company. And so a lot of what I do is I create educational opportunities, and support for companies and organizations that are at the beginning stages of starting their diversity, equity, inclusion journeys. And so, yeah, we do a lot of introductory trainings, and we also have supportive consulting opportunities for companies to, again, grow authentically and grow in a way that brings everyone into the conversation. And most importantly, allows for action, right? Not performative, but like real action that is indicative of the voices of the people in their organization, and also the communities that they hope to serve.
And that's amazing. You've been running that successfully for the past 2-3 years now?
Yeah, 3 years, going on 4. So it's been definitely an amazing journey. But it was literally something that I honestly, it was just an idea. It was an idea. And again, I went to school for entrepreneurship, but at no point did I really think that like it could possibly happen in such a big way. Because
Mm-hmm.
for a really long time I kind of like just tested the waters with a lot of different things, but in my mind, it was always something that I saw as like a side hustle, and not necessarily something that I could potentially do like full time and make a living out of it. But you know I ended up getting laid off, and I never thought that would happen to me. But it was one of the best things that happened. I got laid off, and I had already had feelings of like, I want to do something different. Like I really want to create something that is my own, and kind of see it through. And so I started Culture Energized, and originally it was something else, and it sort of transformed over time. And also I realized too that like I thought I knew about diversity, equity, inclusion just by going through
Mm-hmm.
Playworks and their whole program, but I really had to take time to educate myself and really learn and also like build curriculum. And so literally all the things that I had been doing from city year all the way throughout Playworks, all of those skills that I had gained really was the foundation of how I was able to learn a completely different field and also learn it to the point where now I feel comfortable teaching about it, and also creating a business out of it. So it just goes to show that like all your experiences, like you don't have to, you know, always go the route of I need to have this in place and this in place and this in place and this in place to start a business and be able to do it. You really just have to know your skill set, know what you're good at, and also really understand the skills that you've been able to bring and pull from all your different experiences. Because every experience that I've ever had went into the creation of Culture Energized, which, you know, it seems wild to say that, but like I really had to pull real deep, real deep, to be able to come out and be able to have a successful business to where I am right now.
And you said a key thing that's been like something that's come up multiple different times, and even in some of the things that I'm reading, that every experience that we have in life, we can look at it in a certain way and pull out those lessons to use it for another purpose. And so there's nothing that is not like kind of linked together. So with you saying that your work experiences and the volunteering that you've done in the past has helped you current day to be able to pull those things out from your memory and make things work, even for yourself, like the various different skills that we have and interests that we can turn into businesses. Now, this is not saying that everybody should say, oh, I like knitting, I'm gonna turn it into a business. But if you do like knitting and maybe you took business, when you were in college and then you volunteered at a nursing home, like you can turn that into whatever you want. Um, so it is not discounting the places in the spaces that we've been and the odd jobs that we've had. Like I've worked at a ton of different places, and it is for me to go back and reflect on what I was executing in those jobs to make now my entrepreneurial journey more meaningful, not only for me, but for the people that I interact with. So I appreciate you mentioning that a lot. And for you to be in the space of diversity. I'm gonna ask you another question in terms of that, especially with everything that's going on in the world before we start to close. But through everything that of course you had to pivot during COVID and do things online and things of that nature. But when it comes to the diversity and inclusion, all of essentially the trauma that we were going through with all the senseless killings, how were you able to, first of all, manage yourself, but also bring relatable and content to those different people and companies that they can implement in a meaningful way?
I would say it was challenging. It's hard, because I think I just have a personal connection. Like you see yourself in a lot of the injustices that were playing out. So you're also kind of living it, while still having to compartmentalize to be able to like educate people in an authentic way. And one of the things that I had to do, and luckily I got to this point where I also had to say no. And I think originally when I started the company, I was a very much like a yes person, like, just take the opportunities, just take it. Yes, 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 yes. And, I think what ended up happening was that a lot of people were starting to reach out. And I think initially I was just like, okay, let's just take these opportunities. But what I realized is that it's important to say no. And it's important to also really know what you stand for. And that was it was a very, very important lesson that I had to go through, because I think there was a lot of people that were coming to me for the wrong reasons, right? And I also had to not just be so focused on the money side, but really understand that like why did I really start this business? I wanted to start this business because I wanted to be able to educate people in an authentic way and also create opportunities where people can actually grow and see change. And I think a lot of people were coming to me because they were trying to check a box, or they felt pressure to do something, but they didn't really understand their why and didn't have things in place. And so I had to actually put my foot down and say no. And when I started to do that, I felt a lot better, and I was able to, of course, be able to move through my emotions and also feel a lot better about the work that I was going to be putting out, because I knew that I was going to be partnering with organizations and people that matched my values in the same way, and that our work together would be more impactful. So I think that's an important lesson that every entrepreneur has to go through, is that, and I think that's also part of my foundation in doing sports. It's like, you have to have values, and when things are going well, and also when things are not going well, it's your compass of a business, to be able to stick to that and know what you stand for. And it's okay to say no to some things, and to protect your mental health and to protect your emotional side. Because I also realized too that, like, I am my business. I put a lot of emotional effort and work into it, and when I'm not feeling well, then that affects everything else. And so I had to pause and prioritize and check in with myself a lot, which is not something that I did prior to going through COVID, and even experiencing all the social justice issues that were happening. I didn't really take that time to pause until that moment, and that was kind of the time that I needed. As much as it was really challenging to be in the unknown as an entrepreneur, it was again a great space for me to recenter myself and connect to the why and the values of why I do what I do.
And like I said, I'm loving the points that you're bringing out, because too many times, especially from the standpoint of understanding that you need to make money, but we chase that dollar or that dirham, in my case, so much that we neglect the resource that is allowing this to take place. So even for me, like I'm going through a phase right now to where it's just like, if I'm not okay, then I need to figure out why I'm not okay and take that break and reevaluate. Or even in a previous episode, we're talking about pricing systems and just saying, if you're burnt out, raise your prices and things of that nature, so that you can have more time to give quality services to those individuals. Now, so as we move forward, I want to, I always want to make sure I get something out of all of my guests. And I spoke to you a little bit earlier about just 3 tips that you would give to anybody looking to be in a similar position as you, or looking to kind of break out of what their norm may be. Maybe somebody did get laid off, or maybe somebody's looking to transition. But what advice would you give somebody just looking for a change, or trying to find, whatever it may be? I'm gonna let you dictate whatever you decide to give. But what 3 tips would you give anybody?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think number one, I've been really, really lucky to have a really great support system around me, of people that have, what I've said, like crazy things. A lot of people have like, yeah, absolutely, I think you should go for it, and not always put their, the pressure on me or negativities on me, but just allowed me to kind of see things through. So I would say, number one, really surround yourself with people that can keep it real with you, but that also understand who you are and how boss you are, and like that can hype you up in those ways. Even if you say something like real crazy, like, I'm going to end my business right now, and they're like, okay, all right, we don't quite understand, but like we're right there with you. Like, okay, well, on to next thing. You can do this, you can do this, you can do this. So I think number one, really finding a network of people to support you, because entrepreneurship life is hard. It's challenging, and it can be really isolating. And I can't tell you how many times I've called Abby up to share my frustrations or call my sister. So I would say that's number one. And number two is, I think for people that are really interested in getting to this work, I think there's a lot of information, right? There's a lot of people saying, you have to have an executive summary, you have to have this amount of money, you have to have this, 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 this. And I think for me, that was a huge barrier to actually just get started, right? Yeah. Like just the amount of information that was out there was just so much that I was just like, I can't even start. But one of the things that really helped me was my sister just saying, what's it called? What's your business called? Cool. Get an email, get a domain name. And literally, you just got to start somewhere. You just got to put one foot in the water. And once you actually start, you will realize really quickly that it's just a lot of small little steps that you have to take. And it's not this huge, big shift. I think if you're interested, just take that one step, figure out what it's called. You don't even know, I started Culture Energized with the name. I didn't even know what we were going to be doing. I just started saying the name and I was like, eventually it's going to come to me. And it did. But again, I had a lot of the small steps in place so that when the opportunity came, I was ready. Like we had business cards before I even had what the business was. I would just start talking stuff, right? And so, sometimes you just have to fake it till you make it. Like you have to give yourself that confidence to just be able to talk and engage with people. So I would say start with the small steps, and don't get so bogged down with like the big picture that you actually don't actually go through with the first step. And I would say the third thing is that as you start to build your business, think about the lifestyle that you want to have. I think for me, one of the things that of course, I wanted to do the business and impact social change and all that jazz. But what was most important for me was that I had work-life balance, right? I didn't want to I was leaving a position because I didn't feel like I had that. And there's been so many moments where like, again, as an entrepreneur, you're kind of like in that go, go, go method. And I had to, again, pause myself and say, why did I start this as well? I started this because I wanted to have freedom to be able to travel and work where I wanted to work and meet different people and be able to create my own schedule. And so when I feel myself not doing that, again, I have to always go back to my why, and not just my passion, but what is the lifestyle that I want to match that as well. So building that into as you are creating your business, having that forethought to say, I'm building this because I want a lifestyle of not just having money, but like, I want to be able to take breaks. Mm-hmm. I want to be able to say, when November and December hits, my training season is over and I'm going to take those 2 months off, and hold yourself accountable to those moments as well. And as you figure out, that's how you work smarter, to be able to have that work-life balance. And you have to do that at the very inception, because once you get going, it's really hard to say no, right? Unless you have that forethought as you are creating of working smarter and not always harder mentality. So I would say those are the three things that I could give to you all as you all are embarking on this amazing journey.
And I can say that Mo definitely follows those 3 tips to the T. I've had messages say, I'm going on a 1 month sabbatical, or I'm going to go here, I'm going to go camping and things of that nature. So I'm proud of you for continuing to follow your own advice and at least having it down to where you understand, hey, I'm a little off balance right now. I need to do this, or I'm going to finish these responsibilities up until this point, and then I'm going to, take a break. So that's amazing, Mo. I love you, girl. And I really appreciate all the time that you spent with me on today. What I want you to do right now is please let the people know all of the places and spaces that they can find you, follow you, support you, and contact you.
Yes. So I am most present on, I think, Instagram and Facebook. So it's just at Culture Energized with the D at the end. At Culture Energized for Instagram and Facebook, or you can send us an email. So you can go to our website at www cultureenergized.com. Or you can reach me from the website. Just put a request in if you would like to chat, or even do a virtual hangout and chat. I always love connecting with a lot of different people. So those are the three main ways that you can stay connected with us.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Once again, everybody, thank you for tuning into today's episode of Modern Day Unicorns. As I say always, if you yourself are a unicorn, or you know anybody that you love for me to have a conversation with, go ahead and comment below and contact me. Thank you for your time and your ears and your efforts. We want to see you doing well and changing not only your life, but the lives of others. We'll check you soon. Take care.
Thanks, everyone.